Trump just went absolutely ballistic. A total of 47 members of Congress, including 16 from his own party, have formally demanded his resignation. And this isn't some symbolic gesture or empty political theater. This is a bipartisan uproar sparked by a leaked memo so damning that even his staunchest allies couldn't stay quiet. When Republican committee chairmen openly break ranks and call for their own president to step down, you know something catastrophic has just rocked Washington. Hit that subscribe button right now because you won't want to miss any of the videos I release. So what set off this unprecedented move? A leaked memo alleges interference with military operations for personal political gain while sensitive national security missions were ongoing. Sources reviewing the document claim there were personal orders to delay critical defense authorizations because the commanders involved hadn't publicly supported certain policies. This isn't just another political controversy or partisan spat. Members of the same party are joining opposition lawmakers to publicly demand the resignation of a sitting president. And believe me, when Congress members break ranks like this, you know something enormous has just detonated. It's honestly hard to believe we're watching elected officials from both parties unite against the president in a way we haven't seen since Watergate. Here's the full picture of what's been unfolding. Tensions in Washington have been simmering for months, fueled by budget standoffs, clashes over executive overreach, and repeated conflicts with military leadership. But everything escalated, according to reports from December 28th, when a classified memo was leaked to multiple congressional committees showing alleged direct interference with Pentagon operations. The memo, dated just 3 weeks prior, reportedly documents orders to delay critical military authorizations until certain generals agreed to appear at campaign rallies supporting political objectives. This wasn't about policy debates or standard civil-military relations. It was about using national defense as leverage for political theater. Smash that like button if this is making sense so far. Here's where it really gets serious. When members of the House Armed Services Committee reviewed the memo in a secure facility, they recognized immediately that this crossed a line that couldn't be ignored. And let's be honest for a moment, demands for a president's resignation are extremely rare. They don't happen over political disagreements or policy disputes. They happen when lawmakers believe a president has fundamentally violated their oath of office. Here's what multiple sources say happened next. On December 27th, a bipartisan group of 47 Congress members held an emergency closed-door meeting after reviewing the classified memo. The group included 31 Democrats and 16 Republicans. Sources told reporters that a Republican congressman, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, reportedly stated that the evidence was undeniable and that staying silent would make them complicit. Meanwhile, a Democratic congressman, ranking member on armed services, called the memo's findings a clear abuse of power that jeopardized national security. By the end of that 3-hour session, the group had drafted a formal letter demanding immediate resignation. Released publicly on December 28th, the letter claims that constitutional duties as commander-in-chief were violated by subordinating national defense to personal political objectives. Reporters who obtained the full text note the language is unusually blunt. The letter accuses the administration of putting American lives at risk, undermining military readiness, and betraying the trust of service members who rely on civilian leadership to act in the national interest rather than for personal gain. Drop a comment right now if you saw this coming. I read every single one. Now things get absolutely wild. When that memo was reviewed in a secure facility, even the president's staunchest supporters couldn't defend what they saw. A Republican chairman who had defended this president through every prior controversy stood on the House floor with a visibly shaking voice and read the resignation demand himself. That's when it became clear this isn't just another political scandal. The bombshell moment came as that same Republican congressman read the letter on the House floor. Reporters in the chamber say his voice trembled with emotion as he delivered the demand for resignation. He explained that as a military veteran and longtime supporter of the president, he could no longer remain silent in the face of evidence showing the commander-in-chief putting politics above the safety of American troops. This move sent shockwaves through Washington. When a Republican committee chairman publicly breaks with a president from his own party, it signals one thing. The evidence is so damning that political survival now depends on distancing oneself rather than defending the indefensible. The claims of a partisan witch hunt collapse when members of the president's own party are leading the charge for accountability. This isn't the first time pressure has built for a president to resign over abuse of power. Think back to Richard Nixon and the Saturday Night Massacre when he fired the special prosecutor investigating Watergate. Republican senators began privately telling Nixon he had lost their support. The pressure grew so intense that senior GOP leaders went to the White House and told him he had to resign because he couldn't survive an impeachment vote. Nixon stepped down within days. Then there was Bill Clinton during the Lewinsky scandal. While he didn't resign, dozens of members of Congress called for it. The key difference, Clinton's actions, though inappropriate and dishonest, didn't directly impact national security decisions. Calls for resignation never gained bipartisan backing, since many Democrats saw them as partisan overreach. Subscribe immediately if you haven't yet. This content doesn't exist anywhere else. And let's not forget the first impeachment over Ukraine. Some Republicans privately expressed concern, but publicly they maintained support. The party stayed unified even when evidence of wrongdoing seemed clear to many observers. Now, however, it's different. This time, Republicans are publicly joining the call for resignation. The pattern is clear. When presidents abuse power in ways that threaten national security, even their own party eventually reaches a breaking point. Political loyalty alone can't hold. So what allegedly triggered this unprecedented reaction? According to legal and military experts who reviewed the leaked memo, the actions violated key principles of civil-military relations. The memo reportedly shows personal calls instructing Pentagon officials to delay authorization for 3 separate military operations. These weren't routine decisions. Sources familiar with the operations say they involve time-sensitive intelligence gathering and force protection measures in hostile regions. Here's the kicker. The memo reportedly includes explicit instructions stating that those military authorizations should be delayed until specific generals agreed to appear at campaign events and publicly endorse leadership. This wasn't a policy debate about military strategy. It was a clear attempt to use operational delays as leverage to extract political support from top commanders. Don't go anywhere. The most explosive part is coming next. And here's what should alarm everyone. This isn't just about one memo or one isolated decision. If a president can stall critical military operations until generals comply with political demands, national defense instantly becomes a bargaining chip for political gain. Once that precedent is set, there's no turning back. This puts Republicans in Congress in a nearly impossible position. On one side, they feel pressure to maintain support from a base that remains fiercely loyal and sees any criticism as betrayal. That means defending the president regardless of the evidence, attacking the leak as illegal, and framing the entire situation as a deep state conspiracy. On the other side, they are forced to reckon with actions that, according to their own committee chairman, put American lives at risk for political purposes. They now have to explain to military families why operational readiness should depend on generals providing campaign endorsements, a position that's nearly impossible to justify. And here's the tricky part. There's no credible defense. Either the memo is accurate, in which case the actions are indefensible, or it's fabricated, which would require believing that multiple congressional leaders from both parties are lying about what they saw in a secure facility. Legal and political analysts are calling this a constitutional crisis unfolding in slow motion. A Harvard law professor and former assistant attorney general told news networks that if the memo's allegations are true, there were clear violations of the president's fundamental duties as commander-in-chief. While the Constitution gives the president broad authority over military operations, that authority must serve the national interest, not personal political gain. A former federal prosecutor added that these actions could potentially violate federal laws prohibiting the use of government resources for campaign purposes. Delaying military operations to extract political endorsements from generals isn't just an abuse of power. It could be a criminal violation. do me a favor and slam that like button because it genuinely helps this video reach more people. Even a conservative legal scholar who often defends presidential authority admitted that the allegations are extremely serious. He emphasized that while presidents have wide discretion in military matters, using operational delays as political leverage crosses a constitutional line, one that should concern everyone, regardless of party affiliation. So let's break down what this could mean. First, the political impact is immediate. There's now a formal bipartisan demand for resignation that includes members of the president's own party. While these demands carry no legal force, their symbolic weight is enormous. They signal to other Republicans that breaking ranks is not only acceptable, it may even be politically necessary. Before this letter, many Republicans feared criticism could end their careers. Now, respected party leaders have given them cover, potentially triggering a cascade effect of more lawmakers speaking out. Second, it creates a massive problem for relationships with the military. Active duty service members and veterans are watching civilian leaders allegedly use military operations as political bargaining chips. A poll conducted after the controversy found that 68% of active duty personnel disapproved of using operational delays for political purposes, a staggering number for an administration that has long portrayed itself as a strong supporter of the military. Finally, looking ahead, the broader political implications are profound. This changes the landscape for upcoming elections. Every Republican candidate will face questions about whether they support a president who allegedly endangered troops for political gain. Campaign ads are already being cut, featuring military families asking why Republicans aren't demanding accountability. This is creating a wedge issue that goes beyond typical partisan divides because national security and the welfare of our military have traditionally commanded bipartisan respect. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious to see your perspective. But beyond the immediate political fallout, this is really about fundamental constitutional principles. The president's role as commander-in-chief is sacred in our system. It demands putting national defense above personal interest and ensuring that operational decisions are made based on military necessity, not political calculation. If a president can delay critical operations to extract political loyalty from generals, civilian control of the military is effectively compromised. The implications for the presidency itself would be catastrophic. This scenario is causing sheer panic within Republican leadership. Reports indicate that senior Republicans held emergency conference calls to determine a response. Some argued for circling the wagons and attacking the leak, claiming classified information shouldn't have been disclosed. Others insisted that the allegations themselves demanded a response, regardless of how the memo became public. The party is fracturing in real time, torn between loyalty and the responsibility to address serious national security concerns. Meanwhile, core supporters are absolutely furious at the Republicans who signed the resignation letter. Social media is flooded with calls to primary every lawmaker who broke ranks. They're being labeled traitors and deep state collaborators. To the base, this is the ultimate betrayal, proof that even Republicans can't be trusted to defend against perceived enemies. Things escalated further when Trump himself responded with a series of posts from the White House. He called the resignation demand a hoax and a witch hunt orchestrated by Democrats and weak Republicans. He claimed the memo was fabricated by intelligence agencies trying to undermine him, specifically naming several Republican Congress members who signed the letter and branding them cowards and sellouts who would pay a political price. Stay with me. What comes next will completely change how you view the situation. Here's what makes it even more extraordinary. The president's own response essentially confirmed the allegations. Instead of addressing the claims directly, the reaction was pure fury and personal attacks on the Republicans who broke ranks. When your defense is attacking those exposing the evidence rather than disputing the evidence itself, you've already lost the argument. Legal experts immediately flagged the problem. Attacking Congress members for exercising their constitutional oversight duties while claiming the allegations are false creates a conflicting dynamic. If the claims are baseless, why respond with such rage? The defensive posture only underscores the seriousness of the accusations. This goes far beyond a single controversy. It's about whether a president can use national defense as a tool for personal political gain. If there are no consequences for allegedly delaying military operations to extract political loyalty, it signals that national security is secondary to a president's personal interests. It's not just about one administration. It's about whether the presidency itself has meaningful constraints regarding the commander-in-chief role. If this blows your mind, hit that like button right now. Here's the situation. A bipartisan group of 47 members of Congress has formally demanded the president's resignation after reviewing evidence of alleged interference with military operations for political gain. This is no longer just partisan politics. It's about whether we accept military operations being delayed until generals provide campaign endorsements. When Republican committee chairmen openly break with their own party's president over national security concerns, we've entered genuinely unprecedented territory. If there are no consequences, it sets a dangerous precedent. Commanders-in-chief could treat military readiness as a bargaining chip for personal political gain. Keep a close eye on this story. More Republicans are reportedly reviewing the classified memo, weighing whether to join the resignation demand. Legal teams are threatening to investigate the leak rather than address the substance of the allegations. And military families across the country are watching closely to see whether their elected representatives will prioritize national defense over political loyalty. Before we go any further, smash that subscribe button so you never miss content like this. Here's where things stand right now. 47 elected officials just put their careers on the line, declaring that a sitting president violated his oath. Military families are watching closely to see if their safety matters more than political loyalty. Meanwhile, more Republicans are reportedly reviewing that classified memo, deciding whether to add their names to the growing call for resignation. This isn't just another news cycle that will fade away. This is a constitutional crisis unfolding in real time. What happens next could determine whether the office of commander-in-chief has any meaningful limits at all. The evidence is out there. The demand has been made. Now we wait to see if accountability still holds any weight in Washington. The stakes have never been higher. The evidence has never been more damning. And the constitutional crisis has never been more immediate. Pause for a second and hit that like button if you're finding value in this coverage.